Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're taking a look at Lydus Co. It seems like everyone's talking about them these days, and for good reason. Gold, NFTs, DeFi, philanthropy, it's a lot to wrap your head around. So we're going to break it all down for you and help you understand how these pieces fit together, and more importantly, what it could all mean for you.
Yeah, it's definitely a fascinating project with a lot of moving parts. I'm excited to dive in and explore it all with you.
Me too. Now, from what I gather, people are really intrigued by how Lydus Co. is bringing gold and NFTs together,
Uh,
especially that whole fractional ownership thing, and how you can actually earn yield on your gold holdings. That 10% fund dedicated to sustainable mining practices is also a big draw for many. And of course, we can't forget about the DAO and the AI aspect. There's a lot to unpack here. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is Lydus Co trying to achieve with this whole gold NFT fusion? What problem are they solving?
That's a great question. And I think the answer lies in understanding the limitations of traditional gold investments. You see, gold has always been seen as a safe haven asset, a store of value that can protect your wealth during times of uncertainty. But the problem is, gold is notoriously illiquid. It's difficult to buy and sell quickly, and it doesn't generate any yield.
Right, you basically just have to buy it and hope it goes up in value, which is fine, but it's not exactly a dynamic investment strategy.
Exactly. And that's where DeFi comes in. DeFi, or decentralized finance, has exploded in popularity in recent years. It offers incredible opportunities for earning yield on your crypto assets.
Okay, so DeFi offers high yields, but it can also be super volatile. I get it. That's why a lot of traditional investors have been hesitant to jump in.
Right, exactly. It's a high risk, high reward kind of game.
Yeah.
So Lydus Co is trying to bridge that gap. They're taking the stability of gold, a traditional safe haven asset, and bringing it into the DeFi world. This way, investors can benefit from the earning potential of DeFi while still having the security of a tangible asset like gold backing their investments.
I see. So it's kind of like a best of both worlds situation. The stability of gold combined with the yield potential of DeFi. But how do they actually make that happen? It's not as simple as just like buying a gold-backed token, right?
No, it's actually a lot more innovative than that. They're using NFTs, non-fungible tokens, to represent ownership of physical gold.
Okay, I'm familiar with NFTs in the context of digital art and collectibles,
Yeah.
but how do they work with gold?
So imagine they take a 1 ounce gold coin, a real physical gold coin, and they mint it as an NFT.
So that NFT now represents that specific gold coin.
Precisely. And then they fractionalize that NFT into 1 million tokens.
Wait, a million? So each token represents a tiny fraction of that gold coin.
Exactly. And that's how they make gold accessible to a much wider audience.
That's pretty clever. Instead of needing thousands of dollars to own a whole gold coin, I could buy a tiny fraction of it for a much smaller amount.
Right. It lowers the barrier to entry, and it makes gold a much more liquid asset.
I'm starting to see the appeal. But what can I actually do with these fractional gold tokens? What's the point of owning a tiny piece of a gold coin?
Well, that's where the DeFi magic comes in. You can stake these fractional tokens to earn a yield, similar to how you earn interest on a savings account. They're targeting an APY of around 8%, which is pretty impressive for a gold-backed asset.
8% on gold. That's way more than I'm getting from my bank right now.
Exactly. And that's just one way to earn. You can also use these fractional tokens as collateral to mint stablecoins.
Hold on, stablecoins, that's a whole other layer of complexity.
True, but it's a powerful tool. Think of stablecoins as digital dollars, pegged to the value of the US dollar. They offer stability in the often volatile world of crypto.
So by minting stablecoins, using my gold tokens as collateral, I'm essentially unlocking the value of my gold without actually selling it.
Precisely.
And I can then use those stablecoins for anything I would use regular dollars for, like paying bills or buying things online.
You got it. They're even working on a gold-themed credit card that will allow you to seamlessly spend your stablecoins anywhere that accepts credit cards.
Okay, now that's pretty cool. I can see how this would be appealing to someone like me, someone who's intrigued by crypto and DeFi, but maybe a little hesitant about the volatility.
Right, it's a way to dip your toes into the DeFi world without exposing yourself to too much risk.
So I'm getting the gold NFT synergy, the fractional ownership, and the potential for stable yields. But what about the philanthropic aspect? That 10% fund dedicated to sustainable mining practices is something I'm really interested in.
That's a core part of their mission, and it's something they're very serious about. They believe that the gold industry needs to be more sustainable and ethical, especially in regions where mining can have a negative impact on the environment and local communities.
So for every ounce of gold they sell, 10% goes into this fund to support sustainable mining practices. But how does that actually work in practice? What are they doing with that money?
It's not just about handing out cash. They're funding concrete projects that are making a real difference.
Give me some examples.
Okay, for instance, they're providing funding for mercury-free mining equipment.
Mercury-free. That's a huge deal for the environment and the health of the miners, right?
Absolutely. They're also supporting training programs for artisanal miners to help them learn safer and more sustainable mining practices.
So they're not just throwing money at the problem. They're actually trying to empower these communities to create a better future for themselves.
Exactly. And they're also distributing stablecoins directly to these communities, giving them access to financial tools and opportunities that they wouldn't otherwise have.
Wow, that's a really holistic approach. They're addressing the environmental impact, the social impact, and the economic impact of mining.
Right. They're trying to create a win-win situation for everyone involved.
That's impressive. But I got to ask, how do we know all of this is actually happening? How can we be sure that the money from this 10% fund is being used effectively and transparently?
That's where the beauty of blockchain technology comes in. All transactions related to the fund are recorded on the blockchain, publicly and permanently.
So anyone can go in and see exactly how the money is being spent.
Yes, complete transparency. And they're also publishing detailed reports on their website, outlining their progress and the impact of their initiatives.
That's reassuring to hear. It sounds like they're really committed to accountability and transparency.
They are, and that's just the beginning. They have even bigger plans for the future, involving things like a multi-chain ecosystem, more precious metal tokens, and even more sophisticated AI integration.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's take a closer look at how users can actually participate in this ecosystem. You mentioned an app and a gold-themed credit card. How user-friendly is all of this? Can anyone just jump in and start investing in fractional gold tokens and minting stablecoins?
They've made it incredibly easy to get started. Their app is designed to be intuitive and user-friendly, even for people who are new to crypto.
So no need to be a tech whiz or a crypto expert to participate.
Nope, they've taken care of all the complexities behind the scenes.
That's great. And what about the gold-themed credit card? How does that work?
It's still in development, but the idea is to make it as seamless as using any other credit card.
So I could just load it up with stablecoins minted from my gold tokens and use it for everyday purchases.
That's the vision.
That's a game changer. It really bridges the gap between the crypto world and the real world, making it easy for people to integrate crypto into their daily lives.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered the gold NFT synergy, the yield potential, the philanthropic aspect, the user experience. But what about the DAO? How does the Digital Lions Club fit into all of this? And what role do token holders play in governing the ecosystem?
That's a great segue into the next chapter of our deep dive. The Digital Lions Club is all about empowering the community and giving token holders a real say in how this ecosystem evolves.
So it's not just about owning a piece of gold. It's about having a voice in how this whole thing is run.
Precisely. Members can vote on proposals related to all sorts of things, from how the treasury is managed to which philanthropic initiatives to prioritize.
So it's a true DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization.
Yes. And they're implementing some really interesting governance mechanisms, like reputation-based voting, which gives more weight to active and engaged community members.
That's a great way to incentivize participation and ensure that the most dedicated members have a stronger voice.
Exactly.
And what about the AI? We haven't really touched on that yet. How is artificial intelligence being used by Lydus Co?
The AI plays a crucial role in a few key areas. First, it's used for treasury management. The AI analyzes market data, tracks trends, and makes adjustments to the treasury portfolio to ensure stability and growth.
So it's kind of like having a super smart financial advisor working 24/7 to protect and grow the treasury.
Yes, that's a good analogy. And they're also working on developing an AI-powered advisor that can offer personalized financial advice to users.
Wow, an AI financial advisor. That's taking personalization to a whole new level.
It is. The AI will analyze your portfolio, your risk tolerance, and the market conditions to offer tailored strategies for maximizing your returns.
Okay, now I'm really starting to see the full picture here. Lydus Co is combining the stability of gold with the innovation of DeFi, the transparency of blockchain, the power of AI, and the social impact of sustainable practices.
It's a truly ambitious and multifaceted project, and it has the potential to revolutionize not just how we invest, but how we think about finance as a whole.
I completely agree. This is definitely a project to watch closely, and I'm excited to see how it all unfolds. But that's a conversation for another time. For now, I think we've covered a lot of ground, and hopefully we've given our listeners a good understanding of what Lydus Co is all about.
I think so. It's a lot to take in, but it's definitely worth the effort to understand.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
My pleasure. It really is quite remarkable what they're building, and it seems like they're just getting started.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. What's next on the horizon for Lydus Co? Where do they go from here?
Well, their roadmap is pretty ambitious, to say the least. They have a multi-phase plan laid out. And the first phase is all about launching the platform, getting those initial gold-backed NFTs minted, and actually putting that 10% fund to work supporting real sustainable mining projects. You know, they really want to demonstrate right out of the gate that this isn't just some theoretical concept, but a working system that can actually make a difference in the real world.
That's a smart approach. Prove it works, and the rest will follow. But what about the long term, say 5 years down the line? Where do they see themselves then?
Their goal is to reach a $10 billion treasury within the next 5 years.
Oh, $10 billion. That's a pretty bold target.
It is, but it shows just how much they believe in this project. And they plan to achieve that growth by expanding their ecosystem in a few key ways, adding more precious metals like silver and platinum, attracting more investors, both individuals and institutions, and continuing to build out their DeFi offerings.
Makes sense. Diversify the assets, grow the user base, expand the platform. But what about the average person, someone like me who's not a millionaire or a hedge fund manager? How do they plan to make this platform accessible and appealing to a wider audience?
User experience is a top priority for them. That's why they're building a super user-friendly app.
So even someone who's not a crypto expert can easily navigate it and manage their investments.
That's the goal.
And what about that gold-themed credit card we talked about earlier? Any updates on that?
It's still in the works, but the idea is to make it as seamless as using any other credit card.
So I could just load it up with stablecoins that I minted from my gold tokens and use it for everyday purchases. That's pretty slick.
It is, and it's a great way to bridge the gap between the traditional financial world and the crypto world.
Yeah, it's not just about investing, it's about integrating crypto into our daily lives.
Precisely.
Okay, I'm sold on the user experience. But what about the AI-powered treasury we discussed earlier? How does that actually benefit users?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. They're actually working on developing an AI-powered advisor that can offer personalized financial advice to users.
An AI financial advisor. That sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
I know, right? But it's becoming a reality.
So how does it work?
The AI will analyze your portfolio, your risk tolerance, and the market conditions, and then offer you tailored strategies for maximizing your returns.
So it's like having a personal financial advisor, but without the hefty fees.
Pretty much.
That's pretty amazing. Sounds like they're really trying to democratize access to sophisticated financial tools.
They are, and they're also committed to creating a more equitable and sustainable financial system through their philanthropic initiative.
Right, that 10% fund is really impressive. And it sounds like they have plans to expand those efforts as they grow.
They do. They want to support more sustainable mining projects, empower more artisanal miners, and foster financial inclusion in developing countries.
It's inspiring to see a project that's not just about profits, but also about making a positive impact on the world.
I agree. And they're not just doing this from the top down. They're empowering their community to have a say in how these efforts are carried out.
That's where the DAO comes in, right? The Digital Lions Club.
Exactly.
We touched on it briefly earlier, but I'd love to dive a bit deeper into how it works. What kind of power do token holders actually have?
Well, the Digital Lions Club is all about giving token holders a real voice in shaping the future of the ecosystem. They can vote on proposals related to all sorts of things, like how the treasury is managed.
Okay, so they have a say in how the funds are invested and allocated.
Yes. And they can also vote on which sustainable mining projects to support.
That's pretty cool. So token holders are directly involved in deciding which communities and projects benefit from that 10% fund.
Exactly. And they can even vote on the development of new features on the platform.
So it's not just a token that represents a fraction of gold. It's also a governance token that gives me a real say in how this whole thing evolves.
That's right.
And what about those interesting governance mechanisms you mentioned earlier, like reputation-based voting?
Right. So the idea is to give more voting power to active and engaged community members.
Makes sense. Reward the people who are really contributing to the ecosystem.
Exactly.
And they're also exploring the use of zero-knowledge proofs, or ZKPs, for enhanced privacy and security within the DAO.
That's right. It's a cutting-edge technology that allows users to prove their identity and voting rights without revealing any personal information.
Okay, That sounds incredibly complex, but also incredibly important in a world where data privacy is paramount.
It is. They're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible with blockchain technology and decentralized governance.
This all sounds very promising. But let's be realistic for a moment. Building a project of this scale and ambition is bound to come with challenges.
Of course, no project is without its hurdles.
What are some of the biggest challenges you see them facing?
Well, one of the biggest ones is regulatory uncertainty.
Right, the crypto landscape is still very much a Wild West. Governments around the world are still trying to figure out how to regulate this space.
Exactly. And that can make it difficult for projects like Lydus Co to operate and expand.
What are they doing to address that challenge?
They're taking a proactive approach, working with legal experts to ensure they're adhering to all applicable laws and regulations. And they're also engaging in open dialogue with regulators, advocating for clear and sensible guidelines that foster innovation while protecting investors.
That's good to hear. It shows they're taking regulation seriously. But what about other potential risks? The crypto market is notoriously volatile, and even gold can fluctuate in price. How are they planning to mitigate these risks and protect user investments?
They have a multi-layered approach to risk management. First and foremost, they're over-collateralizing their stablecoins.
Over-collateralizing.
Meaning there's always more gold backing the stablecoins in circulation than the actual value of those stablecoins.
So even if the price of gold drops, there's a buffer in place to protect the value of the stablecoins.
Precisely.
That's a smart move.
And they're also undergoing regular audits from reputable security firms to ensure the integrity of their smart contracts and the overall platform.
So they're making sure everything is secure and transparent.
Yes, and they're also establishing clear contingency plans to address potential disruptions, whether it's a market crash or a technical issue.
Okay, so they're thinking ahead and preparing for all sorts of scenarios.
They are. They're not just hoping for the best, they're actively planning for the worst.
That's reassuring to hear. It sounds like they're really building a solid and sustainable ecosystem, one that's designed to weather the storms and thrive in the long term.
I think so. They're definitely setting themselves up for success.
It really does seem like they've thought of everything. They're not just throwing together a flashy project and hoping for the best.
No, they're definitely in it for the long haul.
And that makes me even more curious about the bigger picture. What could Lydus Co's success mean for the future of finance as a whole?
Well, if they can truly pull this off, we could be witnessing the birth of a whole new financial paradigm.
A new pair.
Yeah, one where traditional assets like gold are seamlessly integrated with the innovation and accessibility of DeFi.
Like they're building a bridge between the old world of finance and the new world of crypto.
Exactly, and that bridge could open up a world of possibilities.
Such as?
For starters, think about the potential impact on traditional financial institutions. Banks and investment firms have long held a tight grip on gold trading and custody.
Right, it's always been a bit of a closed system.
Exactly. But Lydus Co's decentralized model could challenge that dominance, offering a more transparent and accessible alternative.
It's like they're shifting the power dynamic.
Yes, putting more control in the hands of individuals rather than large institutions.
That's a pretty revolutionary concept.
It is, and it's not just about gold. Their success could pave the way for other real-world assets to be tokenized and brought into the DeFi ecosystem.
Like what?
Well, we could see things like tokenized real estate, commodities, fine art, even intellectual property.
Wow, that would be a game changer.
It would. It would democratize access to investment opportunities that were previously out of reach for most people.
I'm starting to see the ripple effects here.
It's about unlocking a whole new world of possibilities.
And it's not just about individual investors either.
No, not at all. Think about the potential for institutional investors, hedge funds, even governments to start incorporating these tokenized assets into their portfolios.
It could revolutionize how we manage and allocate capital globally.
Precisely.
Okay, no, my mind is officially blown.
Mine too.
But let's come back down to earth for a moment. As exciting as all of this sounds, there are bound to be challenges along the way.
Of course, there always are.
What do you see as the biggest potential roadblocks?
Well, as we've already touched upon, regulatory uncertainty is a major hurdle.
Right, the crypto landscape is still very much a work in progress.
And that can make it difficult for projects like Lydus Co to operate and expand globally.
They'll need to be very strategic and adaptable to navigate that. And what about education and awareness? A lot of people are still unfamiliar with DeFi, NFTs, DAOs.
That's another big challenge. They'll need to do a lot of hand-holding and explaining to bring a wider audience on board.
It's not enough to just build a great product.
Yeah.
We have to educate people on how to use it and why it matters.
Exactly.
And of course, There's always the challenge of competition.
Right. The DeFi space is incredibly dynamic. New projects are popping up all the time.
They'll need to constantly innovate and deliver on their promises to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely.
But you know what? That's what makes this space so exciting.
Is.
It's like watching the future of finance being built right before our eyes.
And Lydus Co is right there on the front lines.
They are. And what I find most compelling about them is that they're not just focused on profits, they're also trying to create a more equitable and sustainable financial system.
I agree. They're proving that you can do well while also doing good.
It's not just about numbers and technology, it's about real people and real impact.
They're building a better future.
And that's what makes this project so inspiring.
It is.
Well, I think we've covered just about everything, from the intricate details of Lydus Co's platform to the broader implications for the future of finance.
It's been quite a journey.
It has, and I have to say, I'm incredibly impressed with what I've learned.
Me too.
Lydus Co is a project with immense potential.
No doubt about it.
And as they embark on this ambitious journey, one thing's for sure, it's going to be an exciting ride.
And who knows, maybe we'll look back on this moment as the beginning of a new era in finance.
An era of greater accessibility, transparency, and social responsibility.
I like the sound of that.
Me too. Well, that's all the time we have for today, but this conversation is far from over. We encourage you to continue exploring Lydus Co and the world of decentralized finance. The future is in your hands.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time.